Hello and welcome everybody. This is first webinar in this series of MyRoute-app. My name is Serge and today I will show you everything there is to know about the new update on MRA Web 1.1. As you may have seen 2 weeks ago when I spoke with Timo, our community manager, MRA works on a roadmap in which we do our development step by step, and the first major milestone is Web version 1.1. In this version, Routepoints have been taken into an update, and tonight I'm going to show you the new way of using Routepoints in MyRoute-app, and for that I invite you onto the website. For those of you that have not seen a webinar before or haven't seen any of our MyRoute-app community broadcasts earlier on Facebook, this is the MyRoute-app website. You can start your free trial from here and find, make and share your routes and export them to your GPS and your navigation app from here. I have already registered, so I can just simply log in, but feel free to try it out if you haven't. And for those of you that have, just follow along. As my credentials have been pre-filled out, I only have to click Login Now. And you see, as always, we end up in the Route-app. So this is still the hub in which everything that is MRA comes together. And to show you the update, I will start with creating a new route. And when I do that, I go on the blue ribbon on the top. And if I press the button New Route, there's one thing that immediately stands out. You can, as always, name the route, and for this example I'm using a route in the Netherlands, so I can quickly and easily identify what I want to show you about the new Routepoints. So I call this NL for Netherlands, and then The Hague, and then Maastricht, which is in the south of the Netherlands. And the reason why I do that will become clear in a minute. As always, you can choose your privacy mode. Do you want to share it publicly on MyRoute-app so that everybody else can find it? Only want to share it with your friends, or are you still working on it and you want to keep the route private? Are you planning a route to drive, to use on your bicycle, your push bike, or are you gonna go on a hike? Then you select by foot, but today we're driving. And this is the new feature that I was talking about on this page. This is the, where you can add a start time and start date to your route. So if you're planning a route for next Saturday, here we have a holiday for the children, Sinterklaas, but maybe the weather is good and you want to go for a ride. So you imagine that you want to start at 10 in the morning and you want to get together with a couple of friends. So I put in the date and the time for next Saturday, 10 a.m. I click OK, and as always, my map will then show up. In my case, it starts with the Garmin Here map. If you have selected TomTom as your default map, it will open in TomTom. I'm going to start the route near a gas station where I live. As you can see, the map centers itself where you are geographically. If you don't have location features enabled on your iPad or on your PC, you may need to zoom in because then you would see the global map. So if I just zoom in a little bit and find the gas station that I was talking about, oh, I was a little bit too far, I can put my first waypoint here on the map. This is where we start our ride, and you can see that this immediately becomes a hand. And in a minute I'll tell you the difference between a normal route point and a hand, but this is a start and this is where we need to be, because to start a route you need to be at the start point, of course. So as always, I can click the hand, the route point symbol, in this case a hand, and see the context. I can rename it, I can call it start, or gathering point, or meetup point. Oh, and I'm typing my name instead of start. Why that is, I don't know. Meetup. And the rest of the address is not relevant. SO The Hague. I'm renaming the start point, and you can see that I can zoom in, I can change the color, I can find a hotel, but I live nearby, so I don't need that. I can delete it, and I have a few more options. I can add a note, I can make it a favorite, and I make a start point, but that's already it. New is the blue bar below that, and on that blue bar I can insert a pause. If I click it, I can select, for example, 30 minutes for everybody to join. So we start the route at 10, but we leave the gas station at 10:30. So everybody has about 30 minutes to get there. Me as an organizer, I'll probably be there 10 to 10, so I can greet everybody, but at 10:30 we plan to start. Okay, so this route point is now done, and it's got a 30-minute gathering time connect to it, but I also can change the icon. As you can see, if I click the clock icon here, which means that I make it a timed icon, I can choose to have no symbol. I can have the clock just indicating time, food, coffee, a warning. I don't know, maybe there's roadworks, maybe there's a hazardous situation. But in this case, I want to create the group symbol for us to gather there. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you have any questions during my explanation, or you have additional comments that you want to make, feel free to put them in the comments section. We got people watching the comments and trying to answer them as we go, and I'll have a quick peek now and then, and if I see any questions that I can answer during this webinar, I will certainly do so. Going to Maastricht, which is in the south of the Netherlands, I can select Maastricht Airport, which is a great place to get a cup of coffee if you wanted to. And you can see, if I zoom out, here has decided to create the route like this. I have 2 points, a start and a finish. Both are hands because we have to be there. They're called ViaPoints, or in Garmin terms, hard points, right? So you have to visit them, you have to go to the start, you have to go to the finish. And as you can see, I didn't set any other requirements on my route, so the here map created a route over Utrecht and then south to Maastricht. If I would have selected the TomTom map, you can see that TomTom decides not to go over Utrecht and then south, but TomTom goes over Rotterdam, Breda, and then going south. So this is the 2 maps making their own decision when it comes to quickest route from A to B. In practice, you can see it's 2 hours and 24 minutes, and here it's 2 hours and 25 minutes. So it's probably down to averaging of average speeds that either one of the 2 maps decided to go this way or the other way. So for you to understand the difference between ViaPoints, points that you have to visit, and shaping points, I'm going to turn on my teacher screen and just write on the wall. As we just saw, oh, why am I not be able to write here? Where is my whiteboard? Oh, excuse me, my whiteboard just left me. I'm gonna edit real quickly. There we go. Should, yeah, oh, put it in other color, otherwise we can't see it. There we go. So, please stay on the white. Yes, there we go. Okay, so this was the start in The Hague, and here down south we have the finish in Maastricht. If there was no map underneath this, it would just be a straight line, as if you were going off-road, A to B, straight line as the crow flies, nothing special there. But the 2 maps have decided that one wanted to go Utrecht and then south, and the other one decided to go Rotterdam, Breda, and then south. This has to do with map preferences, and the only way for me to change that is to add additional route points or set other requirements on my route, such as a curvy road or avoid highways or skip what do you call that? Ship bridges or tunnels. You can avoid those. Ferries. I was looking for the word ferry. You can skip ferries if you wanted that, but in this route, there is no ferry, and I could change the route settings to avoid highways or use a curvy road, or I could add shaping points. And if I do that, if I say, okay, I want you to go particularly not over this road, but I want you to go via these 3 points, both the TomTom and the Garmin Here map have no choice but to route the route this way. And I'll show you that back on the map, where I can add a gas station, which is called the Lucht. And it's a gas station along the route. Obviously, when I type it, it will be added as the 3rd waypoint. So now I have to drag it in the middle. And now it becomes a shaping point, because it doesn't have a hand. It's just a gas station here. And as you can see, the route is now on the Here map going past point 2. But also when I switch now to the TomTom map, it also goes here. So what I did, I forced the route to go over this specific road. And I did that because I like that a better route than the other one going over Rotterdam and Breda. So this is what we call a shaping point. There is no feature to it. It's uncolored. There is no hand. So it's a shaping point, and it shapes the route. It doesn't do anything else. I don't have to stop there. I just want to drive over this road instead of over another road. So if I zoom in and I go and select this waypoint. By the way, the term waypoint and route point you can use interchangeably, but use the word shaping points to do exactly that, shape your route, and use ViaPoint to create a point that you have to go via. So you have to pass there. If you miss it, your navigation system will bring you back to it. And how do I do that? I go to the 3 dots on my context menu, and you can see that there's an additional symbol which is called via, and now it becomes a hand as well, and now I have to visit that point. If I miss it, I get an error saying please turn around, or the route will be recalculated to visit that point until I skip that point. Via points you need to visit. Shaping points you can just miss if you wanted to. If you decide during the day, I'm going left here anyway, nobody is gonna bother you about that. So now I can make this a timed via point. I can add a pause here because we're gonna stop for coffee. It's almost halfway through the route, so maybe we want some coffee. I add the coffee symbol to indicate that, and I add 20 minutes for a cup of coffee, or maybe 30 minutes, I don't know. And I want to change the color to indicate that we're actually going to stop here. And this will show up on your MRA navigation app as well. So now I've created a waypoint that is a via point. I have to visit there. And you can see that also in the list on the left. Here you can see the start with a hand and a group symbol. The second one is a hand with a coffee symbol, and the third one is our finish. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that the road takes us past Eindhoven, and this is usually quite a busy part of highway, and maybe you want to avoid that. There's a lot of traffic weaving in and out, and maybe you don't like that very much, or you have plans to take a little bit of a detour. So now you can drag your line easier than before to a road that you like better than the road that the line is now projected on. So in the past, when you went over the route line, you would see a small white dot appear. And maybe you even missed it because on smaller screens it would be hard to find. So our engineers created a little bit bigger symbol to add a waypoint on a route, and it will put the waypoint exactly there. Remember, when I added the gas station and I typed the name, it automatically put it as last waypoint, and then I have to drag it up to put it on the right position. If I zoom in and just find the route line and then find the plus symbol and click add, I see that I have an additional shaping point. In this case, the shaping point doesn't add anything because the route was already going over the A2. So I should not have to edit it here unless I want to drag it and put it somewhere else. So I'll remove this waypoint. I can do it by undoing or by pressing delete. But I can also go over the line now, press my plus button and hold it a bit, and then drag it and drop the waypoint somewhere over there. And if I do that a little bit more carefully and put it directly where I want it to be, on the yellow line of the N279, you can see that my entire route now is still starting here in The Hague, coffee break, and instead of going south under Eindhoven or taking the west side, I'm going to stay east of Eindhoven, going over top and still finishing up in Maastricht. So now I have two fixed ViaPoints, start and finish, one coffee ViaPoint and one shaping point to make sure that I don't go past Eindhoven but take a nicer road. I can add as many of each as I want. And the great thing is that these waypoints in both the shaping and the ViaPoint capacity will be exported to your navigation device. Unfortunately, not every navigation device can handle the two types of waypoints the same way. The new Garmin Zumo XT handles this perfectly. If you export, you can do that through export or save as you've always done. And if you want to know more, check out one of the previous webinars, or check out the manual section that I will show you in a minute. So you can export, and your Garmin Zumo XT, the newest model from Garmin, will show immediately the flags on the map as indication of a hard ViaPoint, a ViaPoint and a hard point in Garmin language. The older models, when you export a route containing hard points or ViaPoints on it, may show a little bit of a difficulty when you try to load that route. That has to do with the technology in the Garmin hardware. We're working with the Garmin team, and that's not so easy to fix those issues. But eventually, when you run the route on your Garmin navigation, you will see the correct flags, and you will be able to see the ViaPoints as opposed to the waypoints, the shaping points. So TomTom doesn't allow you to see the difference between the two types of waypoints, route points, but for those I would suggest where you have a stop point, so where you want to stop, like the coffee, the ViaPoint, add a POI as well. A POI is called a point of interest, and we can do that quite easily. If we zoom in and I select fuel, you will see that there's a fuel symbol also appearing, and I can just click it and add it to my route, but not select it as a waypoint, but as a POI. Now it will become an additional feature on the map. If I switch off fuel points now, you'll see that the other one goes away, but this one stays. And if you export to your TomTom now, save as or use the export functionality, your TomTom will see it as a POI, and you can make that visible on your TomTom screen, and you will still have the same information as your Garmin friends would have. You have another great feature that shows you the entire route in detail, that is save as PDF. And you all know what a PDF is, so it will export a printable version. And here you can definitely easily see what we meant with timed waypoints. Remember that we started on December the 5th at 10 o'clock. We arrive to group at the gas station. Then half an hour later, we decide to leave. There's no distance yet, but after about an hour and 20 minutes, we arrive at our coffee stop. We wait there for 20 minutes, and then we carry on. Then we pass our shaping point at 12:10, and then in about 1:05, we will arrive at the airport in Maastricht. So this entire trip will take us 3 hours and 4 minutes, and it is a total distance of 210 kilometers. This information could be useful if you want to plan, for example, a multi-day trip, and is it a reasonable time that you give yourself for it. I also mentioned that we have manuals, and let me quickly show you where you find those. You go to support, and I'll open them in a new tab so I can keep this one open. And then on the support side, you find manual web application. And there you find the manual about the new waypoints. And you can see it's updated November the 19th when version 1.1 was put live. And you can find a well-documented description of what I just told you, how to add waypoints, how to make it a timed waypoints, and you find information about a cool feature that is the calculation tool. The calculation tool is a feature that I will show you in a second that allows you to calculate the distance and the time between two random waypoints on your route. The rest of the information I showed you is also captured here, so if you want to go ahead and review that on your own leisure, please do so. If I'm going back to my original route, this one is finished. And if I go back to my routes overview, and for example, I pick one in the south of France, for example, the Route de Crète. If I want to put that in my next European round trip, I may want to add a date and a time for start too. Originally, that's not on it, but if you just follow the line to the right and you find the 3 dots, you can now start change the start time of this route. So you can make it again private or shared with friends, but you can also add your start time there. And maybe because it's a long ride, you want to start it at 11. And the reason why you want to add time to it is that it all becomes relative to each other. And I'll show you in a second that now that I have added a start time to my route, let's see, where's my Route de Crète? Here it is. If I now select waypoint 1, you can see it shows 9 a.m. This is the time that I selected in the previous screen. So now at 9, I can see that my time makes sense, and I can already see at what time I'm expected to arrive at the endpoint of this route. And the additional feature that we have is under Toolkit, and that's called the calculator. You can now add a calculator, and you can say what would be the time between waypoint 1 and waypoint 18. Perform the calculation, and you can see it's a 2-hour time distance in time, so it's not necessarily at the minute, because it's calculated time as you would expect on a navigation system, and the distance in kilometers is really the distance in kilometers between those two waypoints. And you can identify waypoint 18, for example, as a good place to start a stop for a coffee break, for example. So now that I know that waypoint 18 is about 2 hours into the ride, I can go to waypoint 18, which is here. It's a little bit close to the end, so maybe I want to select waypoint 14. I go in and I make this a ViaPoint with a pause for coffee or something to eat, and I add the time that I want to spend there. Maybe it's an hour. So now that I've done that, you can see that the total time here on the left has now increased by 1 hour. Since MyRoute-app Web is a web-based application, there is no update required on your end, so you don't have to update anything. You don't have to install any new applications on your PC if you haven't already installed the connector to export your routes to your navigation device. You may want to install that, but other than that, it's web-based, so you can use it on your PC, your Mac, your tablet, your phone, and all this functionality is available for you. The last 5 minutes of this webinar have started, so I'm going to turn my head to the comment section to see if there's anything that I need to answer now. Oh, thank you for all those comments. Some people saying good evening, that's great. Yep, you can put in the time for a ferry as well. So if you, this is actually a good suggestion, because imagine that between route point 12 and 13, it's a ferry. You can see it's near a water, but imagine that this would be a ferry trip. I can add time to this waypoint too. So if I expect the ferry to take 3 hours, for example, I can see the time between waypoint 12 and 13. You can see that here in your list, or you can use the calculator. You can see that it's about 9 minutes between those two route points, but imagine that you know it's a 2-hour ferry ride. You can add 2 hours to your ferry ride here on this waypoint. So your route doesn't change anything, but you just add time. You don't plan to stop here, but you plan to use more time on this piece of the track. Maybe you're going up a mountain pass and you already anticipate that you will be stopping every 5 seconds to take a picture. So you imagine that you allow yourself 30 minutes more to ride that mountain pass so that you have the time to stop, look around, take a picture and move on without creating effective ViaPoints where you want to make that picture, because you don't know yet. But you know that when you ride in the Alps, you need more than the allotted time to finish that pass, because you know yourself, you're going to stop and watch and see the Murmeltieren and take a picture of one of the ibex goats that go up the mountain hills there. So great suggestion in the chat. Can you add time to a stretch of your track? And that is easily done. And if you can see now, my time became 2 hours longer than it was before I made the change. Yep. So that is covered. By the way, if you really go to another country, I might suggest indeed, like people in the chat already do, make a route from The Hague to Calais. Stop your route, take the ferry, and then look at the timetable for the ferry to England, and then at your new start time, start a new route. If you are in one country, in the Netherlands, you can add, for example, half an hour to cross that water. If you miss one boat, the next one will come, but you have to wait a little bit, so you can calculate that half an hour for that ferry to take you from one side of the River Rhine to the other side of the River Rhine, for example. No, that is, yep, and work backwards. You can do that, of course, you can do that manually. I can see that we're at the bottom of the hour. That means that our 30 minutes are up. Thank you very much for your comments and your questions in the comment section. I look forward to see you all back on Thursday, because Thursday we have our regular, our weekly MRA Community Broadcast here on Facebook. It will be shared on the Facebook page of MyRoute-app, of course, and we'll be inviting our route experts. As you may know, MyRoute-app has the largest community of route experts, or only the only community of route experts, and we have the largest library of perfectly checked and ready to use routes for you, free of charge. You can find them on our website under library. And on Thursday, I'll be speaking with both the Dutch and the English speaking route experts. 8 o'clock Netherlands time for the Dutch viewers, 9 o'clock Netherlands time, so 8 o'clock UK time for the English speaking viewers. Same as today. You can ask all your questions. If you have any suggestions, you can put them in our comment section already. As soon as the announcement for the new broadcast is on Facebook, don't be shy. Ask all the questions that you want to ask. Maybe you want to find out how it is to be a route expert or how you want to become one. So join us on Thursday. And until then, I wish you a very pleasant evening and ride safe. And I'll see you on Thursday. Bye-bye.